Why are they doing? Capital?
Good evening. At 7 o'clock tonight is the January 23rd, 2020 North Beach Planning Commission meeting. Michael Hartman was our former chair. He has since resigned. Ms. Pat Haddon is our co-chair. Tonight will be her last meeting with us. So between Rick and I, we're going to run through the meeting, and then once we get a new planning commission member, besides Celia, who's joining us tonight for the first night, then we will go through the process of electing the chair to the planning commission. So at this time, I've taken roll amongst us, and if I could ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the September 26, 2019 Planning Commission meeting. All the members were afforded the minutes earlier in the week, and this has been on the agenda last month too, pushing it to this month for approval.
I move the adoption of, I move both.
Both, you want to do September 26th and October 30th minutes? Sure.
Second?
All right.
Do you second vote?
I second both.
Second vote, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our third item on the agenda is the approval of the Category 1 site plan with a signed North Beach Development Rights and Responsibility Agreement waiver for 4114 3rd Street. Take it away, Rick.
So, as I'm sure you all recall, we've gone over this developer's agreement that was put into our zoning 2 or 3 years ago. What we have tonight is 2 properties that fell into the category that would need or could qualify for the developer's rights agreement. And what we have is 2 developers that are not asking for any concessions from the town. The town is not asking for any concessions from the developers. They're just going to follow along with what the zoning regulations are. And so what we have is a signed agreement that is basically a waiver from the developer's rights. And it has been approved by the council, signed by the mayor, and signed by both developers and myself. So now all we have to do is move forward with the site plans, which were preliminarily approved previously. I believe 41143, there was, we have a new site plan now. I don't know, should have been in the package, and it had the additional comments and stuff on the cover page here at the top that you guys are requesting. There's no other changes to the layout or where it's located on the site. Here is a color rendering that didn't come through in the email I sent. I think let's take a look at what the project will actually look like when it's finished.
Rick, on the plat that you sent, can you explain the lot line, because it looks shorter than the entire lot?
Yes, speak up a little bit.
Sure. Would you explain from the plat how that lot is actually configured?
So on the north side, which you're looking on the back, is actually not part of the lot. That actually is that parcel belongs to Ron Russo. So this lot is not as long as it looks like on there's that little, you talk about the square piece of there, that does not go with this lot.
So how big is the lot?
It's 25 by 125 foot wide, 100 foot deep.
It is, okay.
Yeah, the area behind it is,
We had approval that it was 37.5. In zoning ordinance.
It was previously.
Did
That
we
was
change
pretty-
that?
No, it's still there. But the house, because it was already,
Pre-existing.
Yeah.
You get to build on that particular lot size.
Okay.
And does it mean that the foundation of the new property would go out to the existing foundation, or is it a
actually,
reconfiguration?
the way the foundation sits on the house currently, that foundation actually goes over the property line. Because it was there for so long, it actually sits crooked on the lot.
Is that
So,
right?
yeah, the front, if you're looking at the house, the front right corner actually is like 2 inches over the property line. So with tearing it down and building a new one, it will now be centered on the lot correctly.
I noticed the other question I have is it's defined as an intensely developed area, is that,
IDA, correct.
yeah, is that because of the neighborhood it's in, or is that because of the design configuration?
It's the critical area designation for that particular.
For that area,
And it has been that way. So that entire area is IDA.
yeah, it doesn't have anything, the IDA doesn't have anything to do with that specific lot or the type of structure that's going there, it's the entire area. So it's listed as IDA for development reasons.
And just maybe to refresh everyone's memory, we had approved the site plan, but it was really contingent upon the development plan being
Correct.
worked out.
Yeah,
So
the
we are,
concept and the site plan is preliminary approved, and now we've come back with the developer's waiver, because there is gonna be no agreement between the town and the developer, and so now we just need a final approval of the site plan.
okay.
That belongs to.
Yeah, this was not in the,
Yep.
so there were drawings. I mean, there were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when we approved this originally.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
there wasn't a 3D rendering like this.
Is it all going to be concrete? Is that just one picture? Is that
I think it's just a picture.
I mean, maybe for me, one of the unresolved things was the design guidelines and how this works for multi-use properties, because when we did the design guidelines, those were for commercial properties. Well, there were guidelines for residential, and there were requirements, right, for commercial properties, and so here you have essentially dual use or mixed-use property, so I'm
There
just,
isn't anything in the guidelines that pertains to mixed use,
yeah,
but on the design concept itself, everything falls under either one or the other. It abides by all of the regulations that were set forth in that.
okay, and so that is outlined in the agreement, or is there, I guess I'm also a little confused, is there an actual agreement, or is it just a waiver?
It's just, this is a document that waives having to have an agreement.
Okay.
They're gonna just abide by whatever is in the zoning regulations.
And the original site plan, was there any kind of reference, or did it speak to the design guidelines at all?
I don't believe it does. And I think the only real question that took place prior was about the parking spaces.
Yeah, yeah,
So the deed of parking spaces will become part of this lot, and
okay,
they now won't be able to be used anywhere else.
yeah.
So we'll have to file something so that the deed lots are now used.
I mean, that would be something we'll have to resolve on our end, I feel. We have, just for the people in attendance, we have design guidelines that the town adopted, and those are guidelines for residential properties. But they were mandatory for commercial properties, so there is a bit of a
Yes.
gray area here for a mixed-use property and whether they're applicable. But if it's not, we haven't put our foot down on that.
No, it
You have any
meets all the
objections to what you see
residential.
at all?
No, this is more like a process thing about,
Yep.
right, about.
I think that's probably something we should go and take a look at,
Yeah,
is adding mixed-use guidelines.
yeah. Okay.
And Rick, can we go over again one more time, the parking?
So the parking requirement was not able to be met completely on site, which is part of the requirements. But Mr. Scott does hold a deeded 4-lot residential parking exception that was given to him for something that took place with properties years ago. So they're going to now use those 4 spots for this property, and then we'll have to sign another agreement that'll be done that saying those 4 lots are now used. He doesn't have them to use somewhere else.
And that property is located close by or?
It's
somewhere else?
floating.
They're floating,
It's
Oh,
it's basically a
virtual
waiver.
parking? you mean?
Yes.
It's basically a waiver for 4
Sort of like
spaces.
fake news, it's fake parking.
Yeah, it's like a waiver for 4 spaces.
So your question, will he be designated
Virtual.
those spaces?
Yeah, they're virtual.
Yeah, they were not.
We had discussed
designated.
whether we wanted to designate spaces or not, and they, town and council decided, I don't think that's what they want to do.
And once he uses up,
Once he uses up the 4 spots, that's it.
Yeah, once this is approved, then those 4 spots are now gone. He can't use them for something else.
Is there some tracking on this, something written
Well,
somewhere?
the lots, the 4 parking spaces were actually deeded and filed with the court, so we'll file another document that says those 4 spots have now been used.
I believe it's actually 4.5.
4.5 spaces, however they worded it.
You must have a smart card, one of those little ones or something.
Compact.
3.5,
Very
or
comfortable.
was it 4
It
and
was
a half?
4.5, but there's 2
4.5.
on site also.
So there's 2 on site.
I was thought it was,
That,
Well, it works out with the 1.5 requirement that you guys have actually in the ordinance.
yeah,
But
for the multi,
but I don't even know if it existed back then. but it's-
didn't, yeah, so that's why I don't know where that came from.
Okay, any more questions? I move to approve the site plan as presented.
Second.
all in favor?
So does John actually have people who can walk those many steps? There's a lot of stairs.
Yes, it is.
It's got an
The
elevator.
elevator too.
Does it? Oh.
Yeah.
I just have one outbound comment on that. I'd asked about foundations before, about this project, and didn't get any answer. So I'll just, I kind of dry run some of the calcs on my own, but just for S and Gs. So when you have when you have a 25 by 100 lot, you're calling in certain strips of the ground to start your stormwater calc as you're going through there, right? You're assuming a certain amount of pervious, certain amount of non-pervious.
Correct.
Okay, so if you have a footer that juts out, it's not a post or, it's a spread footer, okay? Technically, you don't drain that where that part of it's located. Those strips of land come out of your calculation. I'm not gonna ask you to go back through it, but I'm just cautioning folks that, these lots are so small that when you do that, okay, you take a 100-foot strip of 18 inches off one side because it resides above the footer, you're gonna have to do your numbers again. I'm not asking you to. There's a reason I asked for that last time, okay?
Yeah, man,
So-
he's hired a very engineering.
No, I understand that, but there's a break here, right? The stormwater gets done to the county, then it comes here for us to do the site plan, and we have to do extents. So I'm asking, illustrate that stuff, it makes it very easy. You don't want me to look and do a number and then send it down to county after the stormwater's done and say, hey, these numbers are wrong. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay.
And next is 8832 Bay Avenue. Again, this is another lot that had to go through the developer's agreement. So the waiver has been signed as well as this lot. One of the conditions that the board wanted to see was the replat showing that there is an access easement to the second lot, which has been done.
Submitted everything.
And everything else is staying the same, there's been no other change to the
Chemicals and
site.
electric and all that.
So the access easement didn't require any adjustments to the actual.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah, he told me you were going to be here.
Yeah, I'm hard to tell.
I have one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember that.
Who was that guy? That guy was up there.
Yeah. And those are
So I don't see the access easement on here.
Next to your left, your finger right on it. Yep.
So it's all this area?
Yeah, see, so here's the drive, and here's the parking area, and then this drive will go all the way over, which will access this line.
Okay, so this shaded area.
This shaded area here is the easement to this line.
Okay.
Which they.
And that has been done with a replat notification, so it's not just long.
We did some replanning documents.
Yeah, it's on that.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that, but.
Okay, so this lot 24R will be documented with that easement.
Correct. And it's done and ready to be filed.
Okay, so if that lot's ever sold, that'll transfer.
It'll transfer with it, correct.
Okay, cool.
Oh, the nice guy, that's smart.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And
I
then
was-
the
that
second
made
sheet
me-
shows the office utility.
Yeah, that was making me a little bit uncomfortable now, that's fine.
Rick, is there any reason why the water line easement doesn't extend into the other lots? That's all.
That's what it has.
Actually, it does. It's
I mean,
it's those
it's the
diagonal ones.
Yeah, it goes all the way over.
No, that's
Storm drain.
easement, not sort of water line.
The water line should come in from the front, so.
No, they don't need water.
I have to open up the big plan and look and see where the water pit is listed. The water pit may be in the back. Yep,
Yeah, so.
and you can see it's sitting there, man, sorry about that.
I talked with Donnie Bone, he wanted the water lines to come in off the side road there. The easements that the meter is placed at the property line itself. The easement for the back lot, the furthest lot, has to get extended to the first lot, but at that point, they own, it's on own property, so we didn't have to continue the easement.
I see.
So it's only, the easement's only to cross the other person's property, remains on.
And the pit's gonna be in the back, right?
The pit
Is
is
that what
proposed out at the front, at the side property line of the
Okay.
street as required by Donnie.
I would have thought the town required a water easement all the way up to the meter. Or
Would
where
you-
it connects to the
Well,
house.
we set the meters on our property. We don't run, the meter will be set on town property.
Right.
So they're virtually at where the back of the sidewalk is,
Right.
you put them a foot past that, so it's not.
So that, the water easement, that water easement is actually the water easement for the next property.
It is. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So the meter will be on Chestnut.
Right.
Yeah. Both.
What are you expecting for, parking? Are going to be commercial on the bottom, are you expecting a lot of customers for parking?
Yeah, so on the, at the original meeting, we kind of went over some of this.
I'm sorry, the
Right,
other-
so through application, so we went through the basic comps. Of course, the zoning ordinance allows it for commercial, that's been set by you. What we did was we accomplished the residential parking on the sites themselves in addition to the 2 spaces in each garage, so we've got that covered. The on-street parking will help serve the commercial facilities that are right on the front. When we ran the comps, we were just, looking at other ordinances that had, it was relatively few, parked there 4 or 5, if I remember correctly. And your all's office on the first floor, we don't anticipate it, it's not like it's not a restaurant, it's not something like that, so we can,
We're all gonna be there upstairs, so we'll walk to work.
And long, it's going to be a long haul to work.
Well, I'm gonna take the elevator, she'll walk.
Did that answer the question?
I believe so, yeah. I know they're looking at different things to do with parking. They have sort of a contentious place for the parking, so that's why I asked.
Anyone got any more questions?
I don't.
Like to move to approve the site plan as presented with the waiver for the Yep,
Development agreement.
that one.
I'll second.
Call the question.
All in favor?
Oh,
Aye.
Come on, you gotta get with it. You're gonna be on your own.
yeah.
Okay, so now we need to do the replat.
Can I ask a question after the fact? I don't want to change any vote or anything.
No.
I'm right.
Yeah.
The one side's going to be for real estate, because you told me you're a realtor. And then the other building, do you have any idea what's going to be on the bottom floor for that?
Not sure, I mean, that would have to, you know, I mean, it would probably be something real estate related. Our daughter is actually a lender, so,
It could possibly be like a lending office for her.
Exactly.
We haven't
Yeah, she's,
figured it out all out yet, though.
but that's kind of.
Engineering company.
Or an engineering company. We got a lot of people wanting to get in there.
Being moisture.
Raise it out
No,
there.
no, no bar, no bar, no bar, Scott.
Hey, what?
No, no,
Not
no.
there.
Some people may not like that.
Yeah.
So then that's, the only other thing we have to approve is the replat, because we did not, you guys did not vote on that with the concept.
Okay,
Because of the development plan issue?
Right.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and just so you know as well, you know, this site plan is just for this lot, right? Lot 23R. I mean, I know the drawings have other things proposed, right? So,
So we're looking at this one right on the corner, as opposed to the one that's
yeah,
in
you're
the
not
middle.
going into the second building yet, right?
So,
No, didn't think so.
We are asking for approval of the site plan for both.
Yeah, the site plan was done for
Right.
both, stormwater was done for both.
somewhere was both.
Yeah,
We said,
Okay.
hey, you showed.
yeah, the easements were done.
And the footprint.
Yeah,
Whatever happened
Okay.
in first was going to create
Okay.
non-conformance.
and so we couldn't do the replat last time because we had to wait for the developers agreement and then they had to do the easements.
Okay, so the developer's agreement goes for both.
Correct.
Okay, even though the second isn't being built.
Correct.
Okay. And in theory, the second lot could have adjustments made to it at a later date if another
If there are
developer
adjustments made, then they'll have to come back.
has to come back to do another permit. That makes sense.
When are you going to break ground for this?
about 15 minutes.
He's got a shovel in his car.
Yeah, they've been ready for a while. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, I move to approve the replat as presented.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So these are exactly equal, right? 52.
Yep.
Nice.
So these work out to, what, 52 by 95?
Just expect them to call. By the time they all
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
All right, go ahead.
Can I get a motion?
By the way, I
to-
have a real estate license, I'll come talk.
Can I get a motion to close the meeting
Long
at
as you walk to work.
7:23 PM?
So moved.
Second, Bill?
I second.
Oh, very good.